Hey, everybody. If your loved one had to go to the emergency room tonight, would you be prepared? Would you know where all the documents are? Would you know where the power of attorney and the medication list and the insurance cards and all that? Would you know where to get that in 60 seconds or less? And if you can't answer yes, don't feel bad because most people can't. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to get organized, starting with why it's important. We're going to talk about what kind of documents you want to have at your fingertips, and then how do you store them. So we'll be talking about that here. So I hope you will stick around for the whole thing. My name is Matthew Estrad. I'm a gerontologist in St. Tammany Parish, and I've been privileged to bring caregiver coffee discussions with you over the last 5 years or so. And today is another one. So we're gonna before we get into this important topic of the records and why they're needed and how to store them, just a little bit about our caregiver support group. We meet every Tuesday evening from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and sometimes we're in person in Slidell or Covington. And the other weeks we are on the Zoom platform that I'm actually recording this on. So the first Tuesday of the month is in Slidell. The second Tuesday of the month is virtual on Zoom. The third Tuesday of the month we're in Covington, and then the fourth and then sometimes the fifth Tuesday of the month we are going to be on Zoom. So we're on one or the other. We're not on both. We're not simulcasting a in-person meeting. So you can find out some more information about that by going to coastseniors.org, navigating to the caregiver information, and then you'll see that we have a 2-month flyer that we publish. So every 2 months we publish a new one. We refresh the dates and the locations, but it's pretty much that same pattern that I mentioned to you. So I hope that it's helpful. I hope you will consider joining us. We've had a lot of new people lately, which is really exciting. So come, there's no reservation needed. Just come check us out. There's no obligation to continue coming. And then we do meet for 90 minutes. If you want to if you only have 45 minutes or even less than that, just come check it out and meet us. All right, so let's get on with this really important topic. So this video will draw upon guidance from the National Institutes on Health on Advanced Care Planning, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, called Managing Someone Else's Money series, and the Administration for Community Living, Recommendations for Legal and Financial Preparedness in Aging. Additional evidence comes from the Alzheimer's Association 2025 Dementia Care Practices recommendations, which emphasize caregiver readiness for medical emergencies, and the American Bar Association guidance on powers of attorney, advanced directives, and essential legal documents for older adults. And I'll have all of these sources that I mentioned in the description of the video. So let's talk about the why. Why does this paperwork matter more than what families might actually realize? So the emergency room staff, they may need documents immediately. Now they don't need your insurance card immediately, but eventually after the person is stabilized or in a good place, they'll come back and they'll come back to the room and they'll ask about insurance and things like that. So, but because they're not supposed to treat someone differently based on it, they don't ask for that when you arrive and when they triage and assess how urgent your need is. Missing power of attorney or HIPAA releases can prevent communication. So if you can't prove that you can speak on behalf of your loved one who might be incapacitated, that could cause some delays. Scattered paperwork can cause stress during emergencies, and organized documents reduce sibling conflict and confusion. A single binder, if you can put that together, a single binder, it protects dignity, safety, and wishes. So it's not about busy work, and it's not about having all this stuff just to have it. It's about protection and lowering stress. So we're going to break down all these documents into 3 big categories. One is identity and legal. The second is medical. And the last one is financial and household. All right, so let's go back to what comes underneath each category. So identity and legal will be your state ID or driver's license, social security card, Medicare, Medicaid cards, insurance cards if it's not either of those two that I mentioned, medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, advanced directives of living wills, a HIPAA release, a do not resuscitate if applicable, marriage certificate, and birth certificate. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to ask for a marriage certificate or a birth certificate at the emergency room visit, but it is part of this binder and having all these things accessible. Recently, it came up in a support group that someone needed a marriage certificate because a loved one had passed away, and I'm trying to remember exactly why. I think it may have had something to do with Social Security benefits, but they did not have they did not have a marriage license, and it was another state, and it's going to take several months to get that marriage certificate. So just know that if you don't have it, later it could impede benefits and things like that. So you want to make sure that you have that, and it could take a while. So start on that. All right, so that's all for the identity and legal. Next is medical. So a current medication list, allergies, diagnoses, past surgeries, a physician list, pharmacy information, recent labs or imaging, and a vaccination record. Now, yes, I know what you're thinking, or I think I know what you're thinking, that all this stuff is in the portal. This is in the patient portal, or the emergency room that I would go to is part of the health system that I would go to. They'll be able to pull this up. And yes, that is very likely the case. But it's still very important to have hard copies of these, at least to refresh them when anything major happens, especially with medications. And also want to mention, when we talked about this before with different medications, when we're talking about medications, we're talking about supplements that you might be using also, like even down to like protein powders and creatine and things like that. So vitamins, herbals, all these things, you're going to want your doctor to know about these things, especially if there's an emergency. All right, jump into the household and financial information. So bank account information, so banking numbers, checking account number, savings, etc., pension and social security statements, insurance policies, mortgage documents, lease documents, utility account information, vehicle titles. If there is a title, or maybe it's a loan, but certainly if the person owns the vehicle outright, you want to have that title, long-term care policy if applicable, and you can and like I said before, you're not going to need your mortgage or insurance policy likely for the emergency room visit. So that's just one scenario, but you are going to want to have all these things all together for at some point. So why not put them together now to reduce stress and confusion in the future, and also have confidence that this stuff is organized and we can find it at a moment's notice. All right, so now that we talked about the why and we talked about the what, so what kind of documents, we're going to talk about how to organize everything. And this is just one suggestion. You may have, I would love if y'all had comments, if you had ideas, things that we didn't cover from our sources in this video, certainly let us know what you think. All right, so here would be the suggested binder sections. Emergency quick sheet. So this is name, date of birth, allergies, diagnoses, medications, and physician contacts. So that's like on your first sheet. Medication, and then these would be binder sections after that, after the emergency quick sheet. So medical summary, legal documents, financial snapshot, household essentials, contacts, and passwords. Limited. And we'll talk a little bit about password managers that I'm a big fan of. All right, tools that can make things easier. Sheet protectors, color-coded tabs, front pocket for those grab first items, duplicate copies of the POA, or power of attorney, advanced directives, and if there is one, a do not resuscitate, if that is something that you've chosen to do. So yeah, this is great. Sheet protectors, of course, keep those documents, protected. You don't know if you're going to be running through a storm when you're carrying these. So you just never know. You want to protect all these, at least most of the documents. Where to store it? Store it perhaps near the exit. Maybe there's a closet by the front door, and you put it up on the top shelf, or at least a shelf on there, maybe not the top, so anybody can reach it. You could also put it in the caregiver's go bag. We've talked about go bags before. You can keep it in a fireproof safe with a second copy also accessible. So this binder is going to turn, what could be uh, a chaotic time into one with clarity, where you're prepared and you're confident and you're able to flip to the right information when you need it. Or if someone's not there, like if you had someone fill in for you, if you had someone take care of your loved one, maybe someone who's not the primary caregiver, a relative who's not the primary caregiver is substituting for you because you went on a well-deserved vacation. Well, here you can go on that vacation with confidence that that person has all this information, and you won't be as stressed if something was needed. So let's talk about digital backups. And this is backing up things without making things too complicated. So you can get a simple digital system. It could be a folder on a computer, one folder in cloud storage, such as OneDrive, Google Drive. It could be a password protected USB thumb drive. I got a bunch around here. You can put a password on that. Now, with all of these, I'm not going into the pros and cons of them and the safety of them. But please do look into and make sure you're comfortable putting certain information on Google Drive. I wouldn't put super sensitive things on there, but maybe you put enough information, but up into some point, and then you don't put it on there, and you have that somewhere else. You should avoid overcomplication, like having multiple apps on your phone, scattered files, complex naming systems. Try to be as consistent as possible. Same place, same sort of naming format or convention. And these digital copies are going to be, imperative to having, so you have your paper copy, but then these are a backup that are going to be really helpful. But keep that information encrypted, keep it password protected, keep it safe. So what should you update every 2 months? I'm sorry, every 6 months. Medication list, physician list, if there are any insurance changes, maybe there is a change in emergency contact. It can even be you're adding one. A new diagnosis, perhaps, recent labs or imaging, and power of attorney updates. A quick refresh twice a year keeps everything ready. So you in those two times a year, you should be able to catch a lot of things that have changed. So how does all this information, what's an example of, or what are some examples of helping prevent a crisis or crises? Faster intake at the ER, so the staff can act immediately and then you can speak on their behalf. Fewer medication errors, so having an accurate list, because even the paper list that you're actually doing could be different from what could be newer than what is in the medical record. So having an accurate list can prevent dangerous interactions. Clear legal authority. There's no confusion that you can make decisions on behalf of them. Less or reducing family conflict. Everyone knows where the documents are and what they say. And protecting dignity, where your loved one's wishes are honored, because that's the whole reason to having wishes documented and having people know, is so that you can make sure that they are followed. And we'll close with paperwork being one of the most powerful things and tools that caregivers can have. In this simple binder that we talked about, in the sheet protectors, in the tabs, doesn't have to be fancy, but it should be organized. It can help prevent stress. It can prevent delays and confusion. It can build confidence. It can build cooperation, because other people are going to, see the cooperation, and they'll be able to help make decisions, especially during an emergency. So in our next video, we're going to talk about incontinence solutions, a topic that caregivers can often struggle with, but rarely talk about openly, because it can be challenging, awkward, not something that we really like to talk about. So Hopefully that is the next video that you will get to see. And I thank you for your attention to this. Thanks for supporting the Council on Aging in St. Tammany, and I look forward to you watching more videos in the future. Take care.